Corso friends, welcome back to Opus Elenae, where we are not actually going to Gulf War this year. This is the first time in 5 years that partner hasn't had to go because he's barren, and honestly, we could both use the break. So instead of that con crunch breakneck kind of pre-war sewing, I have taken a deep breath and a look at my wardrobe and made a short list of things that I need to fill holes. And today we're gonna make one. So go grab your cuppa. Today, I am celebrating Texas spring with a nice cup of Tabletop Tea's Caduceus Clay. It is a delightful green oolong tea with jasmine, rose, chamomile, cornflowers, and just a hint of strawberry, and it tastes like a sunny spring day in a flower garden. Let's get into it. It is spring in Texas, which means that we have weather that ranges from 35 degrees to 85 degrees, sometimes within a couple of days. It also means that we are ramping up towards eventing season. Since the cold end of that spectrum is still pretty cold, I decided that I needed a project that I could be mobile with since I'm going out to partners this weekend, and also one that will help keep me warm. All of the pairs of hosen that I have are linen. I thought that I would take this opportunity and make myself a pair. Hopefully it will be one of those slow, meditative projects since I am planning on hand sewing them. Let's go. After finding my pattern and choosing my fabric, a delightful mossy green wool, I can get started on marking all of my pattern pieces with tailor's chalk. Modern socks achieve their stretch via knit fabric, which is basically a material formed from interlocking loops. This means that each thread makes a kind of weird zigzag rather than being straight. When the fabric is pulled from side to side, those threads have extra length to stretch out, unlike in woven fabrics where each thread is already straight. Problem is, knit fabric didn't exist in the Middle Ages. Okay, knitted socks showed up in the Middle East around the 12th century. I know I made a pair, but as a widespread technology, we don't see it in Europe until the Renaissance. Instead, people took advantage of the stretch that happens on the bias or 45-degree angle of woven fabrics to make hose that could be more closely fitted to the calf and ankle. Since I'm hand sewing these hose, I'll be using unbleached linen thread I got from Burnley and Trowbridge. In extant wool garments, seams are usually sewn with either linen or wool thread, and since modern wool thread tends to be less sturdy than medieval handspun, I'm opting for the linen coated with just a tiny bit of beeswax for durability. Also because I like how the unbleached thread looks against dyed wool. There are many ways that hosen are patterned, all of which put the seams in different places. Since I am I hate seams under my feet neurodivergent, I opted for a 3-piece pattern where one seam runs over the top of the foot right at the ankle and the entire sole is a solid piece of fabric. Normally when I'm hand sewing a project, I use a combination of backstitch and running stitch to sew seams. Backstitch for seams that have a lot of stress on them, and running backstitch for seams with less stress. But since these hose are both sewn on the bias and cover a part of the body that is constantly moving and rubbing against shoes, I'm using backstitch for the entire thing. Remember all of that gardening we did? This is what she looks like now. And partner built me a bower. So I'm going to go get my stuff and sit out here and sew for a little while because it's actually lovely out. After everything is sewn together, I'll need to deal with the seam allowances. Because all of the pieces are wool and cut on the bias, I could just leave them as is. The bias cut means they won't ravel too much and the wool fabric will begin to full or felt with wear. But I also want to protect the seams as much as possible, so I'm going to flat fell the allowance, which is what I normally do. I'll start by clipping one seam allowance down to about 1/4 inch, folding the longer allowance over it so that the shorter side is enclosed, lay that down against the garment fabric so the longer side is enclosed, and fell that down, in this case with a running stitch because I like the way the stitches look when parallel to the seam. Thank you to all of my current and continuing Ko-fi members. Your support and the support of all of my members and croissants makes it easier to do what I do and provide quality content for everyone. Thank you all so much. Stick around after this brief commercial break to see me finish everything up. It doesn't really matter which direction the back seam is felled, but the others do matter. Because of the curve of the cutout on the leg piece, the arch seam will be felled away from the leg by cutting the foot side of the seam down and folding the leg allowance towards the toes. The seam that runs around the edge of the sole will be felled upward to keep the bulk of the seam farther away from the sole of the foot. Once all of the seams are felled, the only thing left to do is hem the top edge with a running stitch to match the seam allowances. Thanks for joining me today. I hope this video has inspired you to take a look at your own garb or regular closets and figure out something small that you can make to fill a gap. If you do, make sure to let me know what you end up creating. If you enjoyed this channel and want to support it, you can do it monetarily on my Ko-fi or for free by sharing this or any of my videos with friends and social media. If you're interested in finding a fantastically supportive community, interested in history and crafting, come join us at the Discord in the link in the description box below. Until next time, be kind, do the work, continue supporting marginalized people, and keep creating. Well.